Ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys Nation, football fans everywhere, stop what you're doing because something just dropped that might go down as one of the most talked about moments of this NFL season. I can't believe I'm actually saying this on camera right now, but all signs are pointing to the Dallas Cowboys making one of the most shocking moves in recent memory. Shilo Sanders, yes, that's Shilo Sanders' heirs, son of the legendary Deion Primetime Sanders, former Colorado star, and one of the most high-profile young defensive backs in the game, is reportedly on his way to join America's team. That's right, the Dallas Cowboys. This is absolutely insane, and we've got a LOT to talk about. Now, before we dive headfirst into the hype, let's keep it real as of right now. There's been no official press release from the Cowboys organization or the league, no flashy Twitter announcement with a jersey swap or a welcome video just yet, but the NFL world is exploding with speculation, insider chatter, and unconfirmed reports claiming that Jerry Jones himself has given the green light to bring Shilo into the building. If this turns out to be true, and honestly, it's feeling more and more inevitable by the minute, this would be one of the most powerful and symbolic signings Dallas has made in recent years. Think about it. The Cowboys, a franchise built on swagger, tradition, big personalities, and huge storylines, adding a Sanders back into the fold? You couldn't script it better if you tried. Let's not forget who we're talking about here. Shilo Sanders is not just a player. He's a character, a presence, a walking headline. Coming from a football dynasty, his father being one of the greatest two-way players in NFL history, and now potentially stepping onto the very stage where prime time made his name as a Cowboy back in the day. This would be a full-circle moment, something that hits on nostalgia, modern hype, and future potential all at once. Now, let's get into the meat of it. What does this mean for the Cowboys defensively? We all know Dallas has a pretty solid secondary, especially with the likes of Trayvon Diggs when healthy, and Darren Bland making huge strides last season. But injuries and depth have always been a concern, especially when you're chasing a Super Bowl. Shilo Sanders, while still unproven at the pro level, brings something that can't be coached: intensity, raw energy, confidence, and a fearless attitude that could electrify the defensive unit. He's physical, he's aggressive, and while his coverage skills might still need polishing, he brings that enforcer mentality you want in a safety. He loves to hit, he flies downhill in run support, and he's not afraid to talk trash and back it up. That type of player, even if he's just a rotational guy or starts on special teams, can bring fire to a defense. And let's talk about the branding side of this. This is Jerry Jones, 101. This is what the Cowboys do. They don't just make roster moves, they make headlines. Signing Shilo Sanders is more than football. It's about tapping into the cultural moment. With Deion Sanders coaching at Colorado and dominating headlines every single week, with Shedeur Sanders being groomed as a future first-round quarterback, with social media buzzing every time the Sanders name is mentioned, bringing Shilo into the Cowboy spotlight is a marketing dream. Every sports outlet would be talking about it. Every Cowboys fan would have something to say, and every opposing fan base would be watching to see if he can live up to the hype. Now, let's talk about timing. Why now? Why Shilo? Well, it makes a lot more sense when you look at his current trajectory. After playing at South Carolina and Jackson State under his dad, Shilo transferred to Colorado and had a strong showing, not elite by NFL standards, but solid enough to draw attention. He declared for the NFL draft, but went undrafted, which was a surprise to some, but not shocking considering how stacked this draft class was in the defensive back category. He ended up signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as an undrafted free agent, which seemed like a good landing spot at the time. But things didn't go as planned. After a few preseason appearances, Shilo was involved in a highly publicized on-field altercation where he threw a punch and got ejected. That incident didn't sit well with the Bucs staff, and soon after, he was waived. Most fans thought that might be the end of his NFL shot, at least for this season. But that's where this story gets interesting. Because quietly, behind the scenes, it looks like Dallas has been keeping an eye on him. Maybe it was Jerry. Maybe it was the scouting department. Maybe it was Dion making some calls. Who knows, but the Cowboys are never ones to miss a chance to make noise, and this move would absolutely do that. Now, let's talk about the fit. Shiloh wouldn't walk in as a starter, let's be honest. He'd likely start on the practice squad or maybe even as a special teams contributor. But Dallas loves to develop raw talent. Dan Quinn, now gone, left a culture behind that believed in versatility and aggression on defense. If Shiloh can keep his emotions in check and focus on learning the system, there's a real path for him to make the 53-man roster down the line. And don't underestimate the impact of being around professionals like Micah Parsons, who sets the tone on defense with work ethic and intensity. Being in that environment could help Shiloh grow immensely. Also, and I can't stress this enough, having Deion Sanders involved, even tangentially, is never a bad thing for the Cowboys. Prime Time and Jerry go way back. We all remember the mid-90s era when Deion came to Dallas and helped them win a Super Bowl. The mutual respect between those two is legendary. So when Shiloh and his brother Shedeur publicly said they'd love to be Cowboys someday and told Jerry, "We got you," during a viral moment earlier this year, maybe that wasn't just hype. Maybe that was a seed being planted. Maybe Jerry saw something in those young men and thought, let's take a chance. Because if you know Jerry, you know he loves a good story. He loves a comeback. He loves being the headline. And this move Shiloh to Dallas ticks all those boxes. Now, is this risky? Of course it is. Shiloh hasn't played a down of NFL regular season football. He's had maturity issues. He's coming off being cut. But sometimes, a change of scenery and a belief from a powerful organization can turn a young player around. And frankly, the Cowboys have taken bigger risks before, and some have paid off. And let's not forget how strong fan support can be. If this move gets confirmed, Shiloh is going to walk into a locker room already buzzing with anticipation. Fans are going to buy his jersey. Media is going to follow every step, and he'll instantly become one of the most watched rookies in the league, not because of his stat line, but because of the story. And stories, in the NFL, matter. Now, let's speculate a little further. What happens if this move is more than just a headline? What if Shiloh actually earns his spot? What if he becomes a rotation player, or even a starter down the road? That would be a PR goldmine. It would also validate the Cowboys' front office in taking what looks like a gamble and turning it into a smart, culture-forward signing. And can you imagine the day where we see STAR Sanders at quarterback and Shiloh Sanders at safety, both in Cowboys uniforms? That's a marketing dream that Jerry Jones is probably already thinking about. Now, before we close, let me just say this: whether or not this gets confirmed today, tomorrow, or next week, the fact that this is even a serious conversation tells you everything about how football and fame intersect in 2025. We're watching not just a league of athletes, but a league of brands, families, legacies, and emotions. Shiloh Sanders joining the Cowboys wouldn't just be a football decision, it would be a legacy play, a symbolic moment, and a move that could ignite a new chapter in the Cowboys' always dramatic story. So stay tuned, folks. We'll keep watching The Wire, checking the Cowboys' official site, monitoring Jerry's interviews, and tracking every hint that comes out of a T&T stadium. Because if this thing goes through, if Shiloh signs that contract, then history might be repeating itself in the boldest way possible. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this a smart move or just a PR stunt? Do you think Shiloh can actually play at this level? And how would you feel about the Sanders legacy continuing in Dallas? Drop a like if you're hyped, subscribe for instant updates, and hit that bell so you don't miss the moment this becomes official. Because one